Hello everyone, welcome back, and today we are talking about our last macromolecule, nucleic acids. So let's get into that. Nucleic acids. So nucleic acids are found in every living organism. It's a requirement. You can't have living organisms without nucleic acids. Their function is to store the genetic information of that living organism, either through DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, nucleic acid being the key word here, and RNA, ribonucleic acid. Okay, so our nucleic acids are going to be composed of nucleotides. I know that's kind of hard to see. That was a bad highlight. Monomers are nucleotides. So these building blocks of nucleic acids are called nucleotides, which should be easy. Nucleic acid, nucleotide, they kind of sound similar. And they're going to consist of three parts. So remember how the lipids had a two-part monomer, the glycerol and the fatty acid? Well, nucleotides are going to have three parts. They're going to have a 5-carbon sugar, they're going to have a phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base. Now, the nitrogenous base is going to be different every time, and that is what's going to dictate the nucleotide, which nucleotide that is, okay? So the 5-carbon sugar is going to look like a little pentagon because there's 5 carbons, right? So that's this bottom part here. Let me laser point this. So this is your 5-carbon sugar down here, this pentagon shape. Then your phosphate group is of course going to have a phosphorus in it, which is P. Now this is our 5th element now coming into nucleic acids. So remember, carbohydrates and lipids have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, CHO. And then proteins added N for nitrogen, CHON. And now with nucleic acids, we move on to CHOMP with phosphorus. So this is the add-on, the phosphate group. So you're going to see a P there. So we've got our 5-carbon sugar, we've got our phosphate group, and then we've got our nitrogenous base. And you can tell that's the nitrogenous base because it has a lot of nitrogens. Okay? Now, so our nucleotides are the monomers composed of those 3 parts. And when you put a bunch of those nucleic acids together, of those nucleotides together, where does that say nucleic acids? Sorry, that's throwing me off. So the monomer are the nucleotides. The polymers are the DNA and RNA, deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid. There is a difference between the two, and we have a whole unit on DNA and RNA, so don't worry about that for now. Just know those are your 2 nucleic acids, and they are both composed of the same things, okay? There are 4 different nitrogenous bases. So the bases for DNA are adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine, A, G, T, C, okay? And then for RNA, the only difference is we don't have thymine, we have uracil, which is with a U. So instead of AGTC, here we have AGUC, okay? And the order in which you see these nitrogenous bases in a sequence of DNA or RNA is what's going to tell you the DNA code. And that is why we all look different. The order of our adenines and guanines and thymines and cytosines is very different, and that is what makes you unique. That is what makes sure that you don't have this exact same DNA as somebody else, unless you're a clone, which I doubt. So now moving on to nutrition labels, because we started talking about this in our protein, lipids, and carbohydrates project, where you had to make a little diet plan. So you may have seen these on the website we were talking about. We have nutrition facts here, and this is where you're going to have information on all the sources of nourishment that your body is getting. So you have the carbohydrates there, total carbohydrates. You have the lipids, which are your fats. You have your proteins, which are right there, just labeled protein. The ones that are not in your nutrition facts, you will notice, are nucleic acids. That is because nucleic acids are your genetic information. You're not changing your genetic information when you're eating. Your body's using that in letting it out, right? It's not getting stuck to your DNA. that would make you a mutant, right? If you were Wolverine and people tested on you and changed your DNA, then we could add stuff to your DNA, but that's not done through eating potato chips or pretzels. So we are going to be moving on to how macromolecules are formed and broken apart in our next video. But for now, I think this is enough. So as a recap, we have our 4 biomolecules: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Tomorrow's video is going to be a wrap-up from another YouTube channel, not mine. And you are going to go through and basically answer some questions about carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids, because now you have all the basis of information about these 4 biomolecules, these 4 macromolecules, and it should be fairly simple, okay? You need to know the monomers, you need to know the polymers, and their functions, okay? So that is the task I'm leaving you with today. Study these 4 macromolecules. Nucleic acids are what we will be talking about tomorrow in class. And then we'll move on to the recap and move on to the next section, which are enzymes, which I teased a little bit in the proteins video. So don't worry, we are still talking about biomolecules. You still have time to understand this information. Make sure you go into those Quizlets and you try to practice your vocabulary a lot if you're getting confused, because there is a lot of vocabulary in biology. Trust me, you've just got to practice it over and over and over again. So that is it for this video. Please make sure you're just practicing, studying, and that is it for today. I will see you tomorrow in class. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow in class. Bye.